Hey friends, we're here for our monthly installation of office hours. And this time we'll be talking about editor recruitment and onboarding. Thanks for joining us today. We're really happy to feel your presence through chat comments. You're going to hear from Lee and myself today. And we have our dear Danit producing the whole thing behind the scenes. And for questions, please place them in YouTube's chat box, and we'll save a few minutes to review and answer them at the end of the session. So, why is this a topic? Why take an entire office hour session to talk about editor recruitment and onboarding? Why is growth so important that we have a whole lot of people working on it? First, for app and map quality. The more editors who update their local maps, the more local Waze can get. Waze can increase coverage and we can reach every corner of the world. The second and very important reason is community longevity. You are all volunteers who put so much of your time and effort into Waze, yet with time, some people choose to leave. We know priorities can change. People become very busy with new projects in their personal lives, and veteran community members who are very knowledgeable sometimes can't find the time to prioritize Waze any longer. So, Waze needs to ensure that the next generation of editors is here. Some communities often feel the need for more editors, like when having big municipal projects come up and the city asks you to update speed limits for a lot of segments in a short time. Having more local editors can help. And the third reason is diversity. Diversity of all kinds means that we succeed in recruiting editors of different ages, markets, and more. This type of attention to community diversity will help us answer various local needs when they come up. We don't always know of the needs of a certain group, but when we have that group represented, we know their needs. So now that we understand why is community growth so important for Waze, let's talk about what is Waze doing to impact growth. Here's a comprehensive list of growth resources we've been working on recently. As you can see, the list is divided into two. On the left-hand side, we see efforts that are led by the product and marketing teams. And on the right-hand side, we see efforts that are led by the communities team. As you can see, there's a lot going on. Some of it is work in progress. That's what WIP stands for. And some of it is planned so that work we haven't yet launched, but we will. But we won't talk about it all. Not all the items will be covered today. So here's the same list with a few items grayed out. Okay, let's dive into it and start with the left-hand side, efforts led by product and marketing teams, which impact WME and the Waze app. Let's start with a tiny and insignificant feature that was launched earlier this year, Suggest and Edit. Only the biggest thing to happen ever since the moon first showed up in the sky. As you know, Suggest and Edit is a very impactful new capability for WME. The very first phase of it is now live all around the world. You'll hear about the next phases later in 2024. Suggest and Edit is an amazing feature and has a lot of potential to bring in new editors. We already see new contributors in WME. We're able to take part in keeping the map updated thanks to you, our experienced editors who moderate their editing suggestions. And here's a note to anyone moderating editing suggestions. Suggest and Edit is a great moment to invite those contributors to join the community. Staff puts that recruitment moment into good use. The automated emails which contributors get after you respond to their emails contain several follow-up and invitation links. And you, when communicating with those contributors, can also leverage the momentum for recruitment and invite people to join your channels.
Okay, thank you, Anna. So speaking of communication channels, let's talk about the next product-led feature, which has potential to impact community growth, and that's chat groups. So chat groups are a great way to keep communicating with other fellow community members through all Waze platforms. So the biggest advantage of this is that you can start chatting with another editor or someone while you're in WME, and then keep the conversation going when you move over to discuss, when you go over and check Wazeopedia. jump into the Waze app, so you can just keep the conversation going no matter where you are in the Waze platform ecosystem. And we see it as a really great vehicle for growth because it enables the coordinators and boosters the option to create special chat groups dedicated to learning. So groups that can host lower level editors and they can mentor using the chat group. So it's really a great safe space for new editors to come in, feel kind of like they're in a private group, so they can feel comfortable asking questions, raising issues with your mentor, and it's really just a great place to feel comfortable and learn more. And in the future, we hope that we'll be able to find to build an automated way to surface these chat groups through the WME to make it easier for new editors to discover them easily and join them actively. All right, so another vehicle for growth that we've recently launched is the new editor email flow. So think about all the, Waze users, drivers who are using Waze and they're going somewhere and they notice something on the map that they want to fix. So they go in to the WME and they try to fix it. They look around, maybe don't necessarily figure out what to do, and then, and then they leave. So this new email flow is that, so these people who we recognize have gone into WME and have spent some time there, they'll receive a newsletter or email from us saying, "Hi, we noticed that you logged in. You want to try again? Can we help you? Here are some resources," to help them succeed with what they tried to do initially. And this email flow is like an encouragement sequence. So the user will get different emails depending on the actions they take. So if they click on the email and they go into WME and try again, they'll get another encouragement with a different message than if the person didn't click on the email. So they'll receive another follow-up email with another encouraging message to get them to go in for the first time. So this is a really cool flow that really will try to help us capture those people who have shown interest but didn't necessarily continue the WME editing experience on their own. So we launched this a few months ago and we're still checking the impact, right? We're still seeing how that's going. And that concludes the left side of the product and marketing features.
Thank you, Lee. So let's talk about growth resources led by the most amazing team in the known universe, the communities team. That's us. Okay.
Clap for us.
Let's start with a topic we all love, meetups. Local meetup spot reservation to the left of the slide. This year, we started to ask leaders to reserve a % of meetup spots for low-level editors. Our growth research and also common sense showed that meetups that really help with editor longevity. We created guidelines since we know that editors who attend a meetup are far more likely to continue to contribute. So we'd like to thank all the leaders who allocate valuable spots to make room for new editors in their meetups. Thank you. Next up is the buddy system. Throughout the years, we've heard from editors that some of them have had a hard time fitting in during their first meetup. And it makes sense. We come in different shapes and sizes. I know that if you put me in a room full of people I barely know, especially if they all know each other pretty well, I'll prefer to make friends with a bartender instead of barging in on people's conversations. So for those of us who need a little help when engaging with the community face-to-face for the first time, we've created the buddy system. When first-time editors sign up for a meetup, we ask them if they'd like to have a buddy. Those who are interested are then matched with experienced editors who volunteer to act as buddies. The buddy system launched this year and has already proved itself as valuable and effective. And if your community hasn't launched it yet and would like to, talk to your local leader or staff community manager. The third effort geared towards supporting first-time meetup attendees is the Meetup Prep Kit. We've heard from people who attend meetups for the first time that they sometimes find it hard to keep track of presentations with the abbreviations we use and lots of technical terms. So we've created a deck with information that can help first-time attendees. It was translated from English to French, Spanish, Latam, Portuguese, Brazil, and Slovenian, thanks to the localization community. Thanks, guys.
Slovenian.
And localization community. The prep kit will be shared with first-time meetup attendees over email before the first meetup. If the person also chose to have a buddy, it will be in the same email. The last meetup resource for growth mentioned here is the Growth Workshop. We've recently launched a workshop for meetups that revolves around growth and raising awareness to all these helpful growth resources. Chezi and Dalia from our team led it at the recent NA Mega Meetup, which took place this April, and it will become available for more meetups later this year. And now we go back to Lee.
Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about mentoring. So I'm going to talk about the manual mentoring flow here, and that's the one that includes the mentoring coordinator and the country sheets, not the flow that's initiated from the profile page. Okay, so what's amazing about this flow is that it allows new editors to ask for a mentor and not have to wait for an experienced editor to reach out to them. So before anything, I want to say a big shout out, a big thank you to all our mentoring coordinators and mentors. Amazing, amazing stuff. In the past year alone, from May 23 to now, you supported 500 editors who have asked for mentors. That's incredible. And in a survey we ran on people who experienced mentorship, 75% felt that their mentor influenced their knowledge as an editor, and 75% edit on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis, which is incredible. So amazing results. We can see significant impact from the manual mentoring program. So you all deserve a round of applause for that. Yay. Okay, so what's new for mentoring? What are we adding to the program? So we have something called a mentoring pool, which is kind of like a directory, like a comprehensive list of topics that mentors can choose to follow when educating their mentees. It has links to resources, and it's divided by topics and levels. And it even has like badges that the mentors can give to their mentees when they complete a topic. So that's really cute. Also, we're doing some impact tracking internally. So we've created like a sort of like an internal process that will allow the staff community managers to analyze the impact of mentoring on the editors and share with the community leads when relevant. Another thing is a new notification flow for mentoring. So we realized that we needed to tweak that notification process a little bit. So we've brought on an internal team to tag you and let you know the mentoring coordinators when they're needed. And the last thing is still a work in progress, but we're working to improve the Ask for a Mentor form, which the new editors fill in, to something more easier to use and more aesthetic. So we hope to share that with you soon. All right, so that's mentoring updates. And now Anat is going to tell you about the
Onboarding Success Story Repo. Okay, thank you, Lee. The Onboarding Success Story Repository. This repo is a deck that summarizes the knowledge experienced leaders shared about recruitment and onboarding. We asked lots of leaders, and 11 of them responded and shared lots of knowledge, and it really helped us create this fountain of knowledge you can use. And we also should thank the localization community who translated it to French and Spanish, Latam, and Portuguese, Brazil. Thank you very much. This slide that you see here is taken from the Onboarding Success Story repo. And this slide, for example, it talks about how leaders recommend communities to find new editors. So you can see that they shared that they use the forum and Waze chat. They communicate with new editors through direct messaging channels like WhatsApp and Discord and so on. They use the Ask for a Mentor form, which Lee just mentioned. And they help people apply the map update they came in for. And only then they tell them that they're welcome to join the community and help others on their own. The need for this repository came up from community leaders who reached out to staff with questions like, where do I find new editors? How do I reach out to them? What works and what doesn't when communicating to new editors? This deck has lots of helpful information. So let's use this opportunity to share a few more helpful tips the leaders shared through the onboarding success story repo. We have it bigger on the next slide, so here it is. First, Facasa Pablo from Spain, he says, be very friendly in messages, also when they do bad edits. I guess it is worthy to fix some edits than losing a new editor. We will have time to teach them properly. And that really connects with me. And then more leaders commented on the topic of mistakes new editors make and mentioned. Avoid negative input and critics. Gentle guidance and don't point out mistakes. No toxic environment allowed. Be friendly. Don't talk down to people and be helpful. The next topic that came up from several editors, so it deserved a good spot on the slide, is nurturing the next generation of leaders. The leaders mentioned that it's good to delegate for the future of your community. And one of the leaders wrote that all of our 4-level editors and above are considered ambassadors and future community leaders. And one of them mentioned that it's great to give welcoming roles to friendly editors. And there's lots more on the deck. We truly believe that anyone can benefit from this deck and invite you all to review it. The link is in Wazeopedia in the coordinators section, but it's actually available for anyone to review. Next up, Lee.
Cool. Okay, so something else we're working on, it's still work in progress, is the basic WME training for new editors. So a few months ago, we reached out to a group of experienced editors and asked them to review a training that we were actually creating internally for Waze staff members on learning the basics of using WME. So we had 9 community members who shared their detailed feedback, and really thank you so much for that, because it really helped us take that internal training and turn it into something that is more external facing for community members. And we hope to launch this new training in a few months. And then you'll be able to share it with anyone who's interested in learning more about using WME, and with your amazing communities. So of course we'll share it with you, and you'll know about it as soon as it's available. It's really it's very interactive. There's a lot of video, a lot of different multimedia, and it's the content is very basic, so it's really mostly helpful for lower level, just get beginners getting started, not so much for more veteran editors, but it's going to be we think it's going to be a real game changer for supporting new editors, people who are really keen to get going and need a jump start. And now the last item that we're going to feature today is a new Wazeopedia card for all the resources we just went over. So if you're wondering where you can find all this stuff that we talked about, the links, all the resources, most of them are going to be there in the card, and that's where everything's available externally. And they're grouped in one convenient card right there in Wazeopedia. You can look for it under resources and process for coordinators. And some of the items are available for anyone, not just for coordinators. So you could feel free, if you're not a coordinator, you can go over there, feel free to browse through it and access those golden nuggets of info. And that's it for our items for today.
Great. So thank you, Lee. That was a rundown of some of the resources available for growth. And as you can see, we invest a lot of time and efforts in editor recruitment and community health and longevity. We're also focused on creating tools to allow you, our dear community members, to attend to your local communities. We have a lot more work cut out for us, and we have plenty of ideas on how to continue to invest in community health and growth. Many of the ideas come from you, from your messages and posts, meetup workshops where we hear from you, and also from random conversations. You know your communities best, and whenever possible, we follow your lead. So now, before we summarize and say goodbye, let's quickly check the chat box to see if we have any questions.
Yeah, I see that some stuff has come in.
So Lee, you have this question here.
Yes. So we have, do you want us, the meetup prep kit translated to Dutch for the coming Benelux meetup in 2 weeks? Yeah, I mean, I received a few requests for more languages to be translated, to that the kit be translated. So I think what we'll do is we'll add it for the localization community. We'll post and discuss in the Discord and invite anyone who's interested in contributing their language. So just stay tuned for a post in the localization community about it, and we'd be happy to. I think it's a great idea. I think it's good.
Perfect. Thank you, Lee. And we see 2 shout outs to mentors, which is a lot of fun. Thank you for the recognition. And look, Mika is working on a Finnish translation for the Meetup Prep Kit. Wow, it's such a hit. We're so glad to see that.
Yeah, amazing.
Introverts represent.
Introverts represent. Yeah, I saw that one pop up, and I totally relate.
And the questions about suggesting it were answered. Thank you, friends. And I think that's it. We're all the way at the top. Perfect. Oh, one more question here. Thank you, Danit. Is there any way to make Waze icons in the map as editors so other drivers could see them as different Wazers there? I don't have an answer for that on the spot. We recently revamped the modes, but those only show up within WME, and there are currently no plans on making those external. But we can look into it and see if editor moods can be different and reflected outside on the client map, as we call it. We'll check.
Okay, any more questions there?
Do you think?
There's one more.
Do you think social media is a successful way to get more editors? We see that it is. We see that communities use social media. The Vietnamese community is a great example of that. We have a really good success story from the last year that was shared with us through the staff community manager. He told us that the community shared that they created a campaign inviting anyone on their Facebook group to update speed limits, I think it was. And they had a few thousand people join the effort. And a few months in, a few hundreds or a few dozens even, that's still a big number, continued as editors.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's really impressive, actually.
And we know of other communities who use their Facebook groups to answer questions and invite people to contribute on their own. When people ask us to update the map, you all know this. It's a great opportunity to tell them, here, I did it for you, but why don't you try it on your own? And Facebook is, and other places, of course, are great places to bring in a community of people who are not yet editors and invite them to tell us what needs updating in the local map. So yes, we do believe in social media for recruiting new editors. Anything to add, Lee?
No, I mean, I know the question came from, I believe, one of our editors in Slovenia who's trying to grow our social media presence in Slovenia. So it makes sense that you asked. And I think John already is doing a superb job. And I think
good luck.
Yeah, we're gonna get there.
Good luck. Okay, Victor is asking, how many new editors are suggested per buddy for meetups? Wait just a second. Per buddy for meetups. It really depends on the local community. The first thing we did for the buddy system is ask for buddies. And then when we know how many buddies we have, only later we know how many new editors we have joining, first-time editors joining a meetup. And then we match them up. And the way we think about it, it's okay to have more than one new editor, new first-time attendee for meetup, for a buddy. It's okay if a buddy walks around with 2 or 3 people, but I don't think we've reached that just yet. I think we're just jump-starting this program, and what we've seen so far is more of a one-on-one or one to two connections. We're hoping to have enough buddies to support everyone, because we have lots of experienced editors joining the meetups. And I mean, all of you are great people who are willing to support everyone. Let's see if we have any other questions. In the chat, thank you, Denise. In the chat, the send a message field is still too small. Any plans to increase the size? That's a question for the Suggest and Edit team. If it's a feature request, then I'm sure it'll be considered. Right now, the teams are working on critical aspects of expanding the feature. As you know, right now, Suggest and Edit only supports a very small array of attributes, and we want to allow people to suggest on more WME attributes. That's the first thing we plan to do. But again, if it's a feature request, I'm sure the team is considering it.
Yeah, where can I suggest a buddy? Where's the form to suggest a buddy?
Okay,
Is
so I see this is from Rafa. Hi, Rafa. He's my mentor from the Dominican Republic. Okay, so my answer isn't good enough. Right now, it's not very public. It's just for the up to the SCM to send it to you. So I'll send it to you personally, and I'll also add it to the coordinator resources. You're right. It should be in a more public place. We'll add it there. Thank you. Okay, no more questions. Dalia's commenting. It's always great to hear from Dalia here. Thank you. So I think that's it for today. Let's go over to the last slide. Okay, so we have 2 more slides and they're just a wrap-up thing. We hope this episode inspired you to take some action, even the smallest one, like changing the reply you send on URs into something less generic and more inviting. And who knows, maybe the next helpful and contributing editor will come from that UR you're going to send to later today. And as you know, your staff community managers are always here for you. So feel free to reach out with any questions or comments. And we'd like to thank you again for joining us for this episode of Office Hours. And have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.